Hello student, in the previous video of the chapter 5th Geography, Natural Vegetation and Wildlife, we discussed about the biodiversity in India. Like the leaf feature, the climate also affects the natural vegetation and the wildlife of a place. And the effect of the climate on the biodiversity is defined by the temperature of that place and the amount of the sunlight and the precipitation that it receives. The thickness and the height of vegetations are mainly determined by the temperature along with the humidity in the air, precipitation and the soil. On the slopes of the Himalaya and the hills of the peninsula above the height of 915 meters, the fall in the temperature affect the types of vegetation and its growth and change it from tropical to subtropical, temperate and the alpine vegetation. Tropical vegetation find where the annual temperature is above 24 degrees Celsius and winter the temperature is 18 degrees Celsius and we are finding no frost is there. In that area we are finding the density and the height is of the vegetation is more. And in the subtropical vegetation the temperature where we find the temperature 17 degree to 2400 degrees Celsius in summer, and in winter the temperature is 10 degree to 18 degrees Celsius. And so that's why we are finding very rare frost is here. But the density and the height of the vegetation is less than the tropical vegetations. And in the temperate zone, where the annual temperature in the summer is 7 degree to 17 degrees Celsius and in the winter temperature is 10 degree to 1 degree Celsius, and we are finding the some snow and the frost is there. We are finding the pine, the other like the trees. And alpine where the temperature in the summer also below 7 degrees Celsius and in winter there is totally snowfall, 1 degree Celsius temperature is there. We are finding the grassland and mosses and the lichens. So we can see the temperature also affect the density and the height of the vegetation. The variation of duration in sunlight at different place is also affect the vegetation and the wildlife. And it is different because of the latitude, altitude, season and duration of the days is different. As we move from the equators, the latitude is increasing, and due to the latitude, the vegetation zone is also divided into tropical, subtropical, temperate and the alpine vegetations, and the thickness and the height is also dependent on the latitude. At a higher altitude, we are finding the less sunlight comparison to the less altitude, and due to that the height and the density of the vegetation is also affected. In the summer seasons the duration of the sunlight is more, so the trees grows faster comparison to the winters because the sunlight affect the plants grows, and due to that the duration of the days also affected the growth and the density of the vegetations, because when days are long means the summer season is there and the trees and vegetations are finding much sunlight, they are growing faster comparison to the winters and when the days are short. And like the photo periods means the sunlight, the precipitation also affects the vegetations. In India the entire rainfall is brought in the by the advancing southwest monsoons and the retreating northeast monsoons, and the areas which receive the highest rainfall more dense vegetations as compared to areas of less rainfalls, like which areas receive more than 200 centimeter rainfall, where we find the evergreen forest, and the areas where we find the rainfall is less than 70 centimeter, we are finding the thorn forest and the scrubs. And western slope of the Western Ghats are covered with thick forest, and the eastern slopes are not, because the western slopes receive higher amount of the precipitation because southwest monsoon wind firstly struck the western part of the Western Ghats. Leaf feature and the climate of a place affect the vegetation of the place, and these vegetations has lots of importance in our life. They provide an ecological balance which is vital for the sustenance of all life forms, be it human being, animals or plants, means it helps to modify the climate. We know that Roots of the plants have the ability to hold soil, so the forest helps in prevention of the soil erosions. Due to the rainfall, it also helps to regulate the stream flow, means due to that the river is flowing. And forests provide us timber, fuel wood, furniture wood, bamboo, medical herbs, species. They also provide useful raw material for making papers. And so forests provide livelihood to many forest communities and the tribes. And a forest is the home of various wild animals and the birds. So it offers recreation to man and also boosts the tourism industries. The forest shed large quantities of leaves, twigs and branches with after decomposition, so it forms a humus to the soils, and they provide a natural environment for wildlife, which is one of the biggest assets to India. When all plants and animals in a specific climate conditions they survive together, they are forming the ecosystem. So ecosystem is a system that created when all plants and animals interact together and interdepend and interrelated to each others, to their environments, and thus they are forming an ecosystems. Human beings are also an integral part of the ecosystems, but sometimes they utilize the vegetation and the wildlife in excess, and due to the greed of human being leads to overutilization of these resources. So that's why sometimes they cut the trees and kill the animals and creating ecological imbalance. And when a very large ecosystem on land having distinct type of vegetation and animal lives, they are creating the biome. In the next video we will discuss about the types of the vegetation. Topic related these question answer you have to do on your fair note.